Hey there! Have you ever wondered about all the different ways that addiction affects a person? Well, there are many of them. It distorts a person's perception, it corrupts a person's relationship to their feelings, it destroys a person's meaningful connection to the world around them, and many other things. But in this video, I want to focus on one issue in particular: how addiction affects a person's integrity. Now, I know when most people think of addiction, they think of things like cravings, withdrawals, maybe broken relationships or health problems. But one of the most profound changes, and one that is actually a key component of addiction, is the loss of integrity. It's easy to see things like how much money we spend in addiction or how much time we spend indulging in it. However, it's the things that we can't see so easily that make it hard to break free from it. In fact, without understanding these hidden aspects of addiction, it's pretty much impossible to turn things around. It's kind of like if your car is not running right and you don't know what you need to do to fix it, you're going to have a really hard time getting things running smoothly again. If you struggled with addiction, you know how much you compromised your integrity, because at some point the addiction takes over in a way that makes us start violating our own values, our principles, and the moral code that we were determined to live by. Not just hurting other people or doing things we said we'd never do, but also sacrificing our hopes and dreams and the quality of our lives to satisfy the addiction. And that is one of the most painful aspects of addiction, because it is so damaging to our self-esteem. You see, when we're healthy and when we're sober and centered, most people are guided naturally by a sense of integrity. It's that inner compass, that feeling of right and wrong. And it helps us make decisions, it keeps us honest, it makes us feel whole, and it guides us towards what is ultimately for our highest good. Every living organism is hardwired to survive and thrive. And if we just let this natural tendency guide us, we usually do just fine. But addiction corrupts that. Not all at once. It starts small, maybe a little lie, or maybe hiding something, or maybe it's drinking a little too much or too often. But what happens often is that a person starts to feel bad about what they're doing, and because they know that using something will make them feel better, then they indulge in their addiction, which makes them feel even worse, and then they use more to numb that pain away. And that's how addiction can trap a person. Now, the more they do that, the more they have to compromise their integrity. Over time, they get caught in this cycle where they continuously compromise their integrity to keep the addiction going. Let me give you some examples of how this shows up. Maybe some of these will sound familiar. You lie to your loved ones about where you've been. You promise you'll quit and then don't, again and again. You might steal, not just from others, but also from your future, your time, your potential. You say, "I'd never do that," and then one day you do. You isolate yourself, blow off your responsibilities, or hurt people who love you. And you start living a double life, one version of you out in public and one driven entirely by the addiction behind closed doors. And you keep trading your hopes and dreams to feed your addiction. And here's the harsh truth. Eventually, the addiction becomes a thing that guides your behavior. It's basically taken the place of your integrity. What now guides you is not your values, not your hopes, not your character or your faith or your dreams, just the addiction. And when that becomes the driver, integrity becomes something you're constantly stepping over or flat out burying. Not only is it exhausting, it's horribly damaging. You end up in this vicious loop. You do things that violate your morals, you feel shame and guilt, and then the addiction offers relief from those feelings, so you use again. And the damage to your integrity gets even deeper. It becomes a cycle of self-destruction, and the more you break your own moral code, the more you stop trusting yourself. You start to believe that maybe this is just who you are now. But it's not. It never was. Within every addict, there's a healthy person who wants to come forth, but it's often the addict within that often wins. It's like the indigenous teaching that within every person there is a white wolf and a dark wolf. Which one wins will depend on which one you feed. Here's the good news. Recovery is absolutely possible if you want it bad enough. But you need to know that recovery is not just about quitting the substance. It's about rebuilding your relationship with your integrity. But if you don't know that, you won't know what to do to break free of your addiction. Knowing this is a powerful thing because it gives insight about how to be successful at recovery. When you start getting honest again, when you tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable, when you make amends and take responsibility, you're not just staying sober, you're regaining your integrity and you're becoming whole again. You start to rebuild that inner compass and you start remembering what being healthy feels like. For the first time in a long time, you're not pretending, you're not hiding. You're becoming someone you can live with and even be proud of. And all of that is why understanding the importance of regaining your integrity is crucial. Losing integrity fuels addiction. Regaining integrity fuels health and recovery. To a large degree, that's what recovery is all about. It's more about returning to a normal state of alignment, living in a way that reflects who you were meant to be, not what the addiction has turned you into. So if you're on that path or even just thinking about it, remember how important regaining your integrity is. You can get that back if you want it bad enough. And when you do, that's when the real healing begins. Also, if you're thinking about seeking out a counselor or a program, make sure that they understand about these hidden aspects of addiction, because if they don't, it's kind of like putting a band-aid on top of a wound that needs to be taken care of properly. So thanks for watching and take care of yourself. You're worth it.